In this part we will go through the most vital descriptive sequences for what happened at the murder site. We will use images from reconstructions with witnesses taken shortly after the murder, as well as the police's own photographs from the crime scene taken days after the murder. It is also important to understand that in some reconstruction images the actual moment of the shots was recreated a short distance from the precise murder location because a huge pile of flowers affected the execution of the reconstructions. Therefore, the main focus has been placed on images showing the blood pool and the marking that indicated the area within which the blood spatter was located. This is also extremely important because the direction of the blood spatter and the area it covered, as documented by the early crime scene technicians, directly contradicts all official claims about where the bullets that were later planted could possibly have been found. So to begin with understanding the important and concrete statements that lead up to what later unfolds at the murder site, we have the northbound witness Fauzian Svivajan, which the first image describes very well. This reconstruction image is important because a witness sees the Palm couple walking south on Svivajan, but also because a man is walking about 10 meters behind the Palm couple, whom the witness states is too old to be a bodyguard. Thus the witness has understood who the couple is that he has just passed, and that the person may have had some connection to the couple but did not fit the profile given his reflection. The man is described by the witness as wearing a blue padded jacket. This is therefore Olof Palm's friend Theo. The time here is calculated to approximately 40 seconds before the shots, based on an estimation of how far the witness managed to walk from the meeting before he heard the shots. Approximate time, 23 hours 19 minutes and 30 seconds. The next important sequence in the course of events is the meeting itself at the advertising pillar, farthest to the left in the image. The statements about the meeting with the three persons are built on concrete information from a taxi driver sitting in his car on Svivajan waiting at a red light, and his description of a conversation at the advertising pillar outside Dikarema, where the witness can even place the persons in relation to each other. The Palm couple stands with their backs to the taxi driver, and the person they are talking with stands with his back to the facade. That is Theo, here in the lighter blue color. In the very first radio reports from police about the description, which came from the taxi driver, he states that the man he saw was wearing a blue padded jacket. Even the witness Bjorkman, looking south in search of possibly arriving friends, here in darker blue, experiences that the three persons are having a pleasant time, and in his first interrogation on the murder night he states that the man was wearing a blue padded jacket, as long as his own and was as tall as himself. It is also in connection with this waiting position that Bjorkman states that a person passed by, and it is here temporally that it fits for one of the much later accused suspects, the witness Stig Engström in a dark coat, to pass both Bjorkman and the meeting and then turn into Tunnelgaten, to check the time on his wristwatch in the light from the Dikarema store. A statement he later uses as an emergency lie on Svivajan. The time here is set to approximately 23 hours 20 minutes and 10 seconds. We also see how the taller waiting professional killer in a long dark coat stands at Dikarema's bevel, hidden from the meeting participants but well prepared to then simply step forward and carry out the planned execution, once the Palm couple has finished the short meeting and passes by. In the next important sequence, the Palm couple has finished the meeting and is walking south on Svivajan. Here comes the completely decisive moment of the shots, as described by the witness Marelius, on the other side of the intersection, where he is sitting in his car, simply waiting for friends to withdraw money from an ATM. He has already had his attention on a strangely behaving waiting perpetrator, at the bevel of the Dikarema corner for several minutes, and then sees the Palm couple coming. And it is precisely then that the perpetrator steps up behind and fires 2 shots in rapid succession at Olof Palm. Something deviant that the witness has already noticed about the waiting man, that something is about to happen. He even manages to say to one of the friends getting into the car that he thought the man might snatch a bag. There is thus a real anchoring in the detailed statements, combined with descriptions of an actual course of events. It is also this witness who stated that the execution of the Prime Minister was a slaughter, by a butcher, who knew exactly what he was doing. The same witness also contradicts all official claims that Lisbeth Palm was injured by shot, by stating that both shots were fired only at Olof Palm. The time here is set to 23 hours 20 minutes and 26 seconds. It is based on a calculation of a time indication from the witness's girlfriend's ATM receipt, 23:18, which was later clarified to 23 hours 18 minutes and 56 seconds. However, the ATM clock was running 90 seconds slow, and the shots fell at 23 hours 20 minutes and 26 seconds. In the next sequence, in the next image, we have the witness Engström in a dark coat fleeing into Tunnelgaten after hearing the shots fall behind his back, and behind him the perpetrator and professional killer Anthony White also disappears, also in a dark coat. Thus, two persons in dark coats disappearing into Tunnelgaten, which is supported by the very early witness statements reported in the first television news broadcasts, but which the police very quickly and revealingly tried to diminish as very uncertain. Which sharply raises the crucial question: how can the police know that witness statements are uncertain just hours after the murder if one is not trying to cover up and mislead regarding these highly relevant and decisive statements? Which of course reveals the direct cover-up more than anything else. It is also important to understand where the completely erased person, Olof Palme's friend Theo from Crete, went after the meeting. He thus remains standing at the advertising pillar after the meeting and is shocked by the shots. He then disappears into a nook, an opening in the property, which is Di Karima's goods entrance. This statement too is supported by the witness Fozzie's account when, after a while, he sees the same blue padded jacket disappear into the building. It therefore cannot be the same person who fired the shots and disappeared into Tunnelgaten. There are also other witness statements about how this person later runs northeast of the murder site, in a terrified and panicked zigzag pattern, while everyone else has their full attention on what is happening at the murder site. There is also descriptive support for this course of events from the witness Bjorkman when he later in interrogation realized that it was a person Palm met at the advertising pillar, and that the perpetrator may have been standing waiting around the corner of the building. We also have a very important witness on Tunnelgaten who hears someone being shot at the murder site and sees someone fall to the ground. He then hears someone running behind the barracks, and the witness follows the person he believes is the perpetrator up the stairs to the ridge. The problem is only that it is the fleeing and mistaken witness Engström whom the witness Jepsen sees and has full focus on. He simply misses that the real perpetrator disappears north on Lundmakargatan, behind his back, while he is completely focused on the fleeing Engström running up the stairs, which he then bravely tries to follow and search for. This is the central course of events that unfolds at the murder site, and the most central involved persons and important witnesses and their statements, which are built on the thorough examination of the statements these witnesses have given over the years. This absolutely does not fit with the official truths we have heard hammered in by authorities and the entire establishment for decades, that Theo would not even have been part of the course of events, that the perpetrator did not run up the stairs but that it was the witness Engström, who was even a hero in the context when he stopped the Honorable Police Commissioner Soderstrom on his way back to the murder site, to tell what he had experienced. This commissioner, who became the first police officer on the scene, after as long as approximately 9 minutes after the shots were fired. The time set to 23 hours 29 minutes and 45 seconds. Engström, once back at the murder site, realized how he had been mistaken for the murderer, running into Tunnelgaten, and then realized it was best to invent an alternative story about arriving after the shots at the murder site, to avoid being taken in himself, as a possible scapegoat for the murder. When he so obviously lies and changes his story about what he did and contributed to fit all the time shifts that the Palm fake investigation makes, to clean away the simultaneous stay-behind exercise. These are several major decisive revelations that the Swedish population has never heard before from the Swedish establishment in 40 years. It is this description of a reasonable course of events, with concrete and factual support in witness statements, that we need help from abroad to reveal, so that the Swedish population can finally heal its open wound once and for all, in our only unsolved Prime Minister murder. And it is also these concrete reality-anchored witness statements, and the methods to analyze the material that have then served as the foundation for continuing the critical work of understanding the whole behind the murder and the cover-up. That is why many others who have dug over the years have never gotten further. They have not had the competence to understand what really happened, or want to understand and dare to challenge what we have been fed over the years. But with a truly critical approach, distancing oneself from the official truths, and completely focusing on the actual content in different witnesses' descriptions in their statements, it was possible. Which we will now come to.